Okay, I'm going to accuse you of something. You're making society mediocre without realizing. And it's not even your fault. It's all because those cheap little trophies we used to get when we were little, participation trophies. I'm sure we've all gotten one at one point or another for maybe participating in a team sport like basketball or soccer. Or maybe even participated in a spelling bee or a talent show. But notice how I never said you won. When I was 6, my mom signed me up for soccer. I didn't really like soccer, and I wasn't very good at it. So instead, I spent my time practicing my gymnastic skills in the field or picking flowers, and at the end of the day, I still got a trophy. But do you really think I even deserved to get a trophy? I mean, I certainly didn't win, and I don't even think I kicked the ball while I was on the field. Now, I want you to all raise your hand if you think you've ever gotten a participation trophy. Okay, everyone look around. Now keep your hands raised if you feel you really deserve that trophy. Look around again. Participation trophies became common in the 1970s, but they really gained a lot of popularity in the 90s. They really started to spark a lot of controversy in the last couple of decades, though. A lot of this controversy started when Steelers player James Harrison posted this picture on Instagram. Now this is a picture of his sons, who were 6 and 8 at the time, participation trophies. He took to Instagram saying that he was going to return his sons' trophies until they earned a real one. In this post, he said, "Everything in life should be earned, and I am not about to raise 2 boys to be men by making them believe they are entitled to something just because they tried their best." A large consequence of participation trophies is that they can lead to laziness and cause a lack of motivation to do better. This is really shown in a study done by psychologist Carol Dweck. In this study, she took a group of students. She then split them up into 2 groups, Group 1 and Group 2. These groups were given a test, and it was relatively simple. The difference was, after the test, Group 1 was told that they did very good and that they were extremely smart, while Group 2 was not told anything. They then went on to take a second test, which we'll call Test 2. And this time they got to choose. Did they want to take an easier test or a harder test? Group 1 most commonly chose the easier test, while Group 2 chose the harder test. They finished this test, and now it's time to move on to Test 3. They decide that Test 3 is going to be of equal difficulty as the first test, so just as hard. And Group 1 then goes on to perform worse on this third test, while Group 2 goes on to perform better. So here we can really see that just this small amount of praise that was given to these groups altered the way they performed on these tests. It caused them to shy away from challenges, and it overinflated their ego to the point where they felt they didn't have to try on the third test. Praise for effort alone without real achievement will promote what we call a fixed mindset. So a fixed mindset will lead kids to believe that their abilities are predetermined and unchangeable. Believing that your abilities are predetermined will lead you to be less motivated to push yourself for excellence, and that'll make you settle for what you have now. Part of this can be dedicated to the fact that incentive of recognition has been granted without any real merit. What we want to strive for is a growth mindset, in which you believe that everything can be better, and you're constantly motivated, and it makes you push yourself more. Children who receive participation trophies will begin to expect praise without putting in the effort to excel. This lack of motivation and drive will cause them to just become comfortable with where they are now. A large part of Dweck's study is that she believed that we need to embrace failure and use it as a learning opportunity so that we can better grow as people. With these participation trophies, though, undermine that ability to grow from failure, because they're providing unwarranted validation and still telling you that you did a good job, even though you might not have. The lack of motivation to improve will lead us to accept mediocrity in society. When society is not motivated, in turn, we just accept mediocrity. The normalization of mediocrity blurs the distinction between real achievement and participation. In a study done by experimental social psychology, they discovered that when everyone gets a trophy, the value of the trophy diminishes. So this is kind of similar to like today's inflation. If you print more money, the value of the dollar goes down. So the more I praise you and tell you that you did a great job, the less you're really going to believe me because you know you didn't do a good job. So going back to when I used to play soccer, regardless of the fact that I didn't really like soccer, I never felt the need to improve because I knew that no matter how well or poorly I performed, I was still going to walk off the field. I was going to get a pat on the back, maybe a bag of orange slices, and a trophy. But this isn't how it worked when I did gymnastics. So going back to when I was around 6, gymnastics wasn't competitive yet, but you only got a medal if you were first, second, or third place. So getting this medal was somehow always stuck on my mind, and maybe it's just because I'm a very competitive person, but I thought about this medal before practice, after practice, during practice, and thinking about this medal is what pushed me to get better. It pushed me in practice, it pushed me in competitions, but in soccer, I was never pushed because there was nothing for me to work towards. So we can see this trend of accepting mediocrity extend well beyond childhood. And we have also recently seen a shift towards society, a shift in attitude in society for the way that people think about success. So it's best explained by psychologist Elsie Cohn in his book, Punished by Rewards, where he likes to reference something called praise inflation. So it's kind of going back to what we talked about before, where praise inflation, if I just tell you so often, you're doing so good, even though you're not, are you really going to believe me anymore? So the value of this praise is diminishing. So this will devalue achievement, and it is going to dilute the standards of excellence, especially in society. All of this is making mediocrity more normalized, while it's making excellence undervalued. Mediocrity and a lack of innovation can cause complications in innovation in society. Children are growing up accustomed to receiving praise and rewards, regardless of their performance. These children get older, and it will lead to a lack of motivation to strive for excellence and innovation. Employees raised in a culture of participation trophies may shy away from taking risks. A lot of this can be dedicated to the fact that they now have a fear of failure. Without the crutch of praise or participation trophy to fall back on, they're less likely to challenge what we call the status quo, and they're less likely to have original ideas, original thoughts, and original innovations. This in turn will cause companies to fall behind technologically, economically, just all around because we're not competing. And without competition, as a society, where would we be today? Competition breeds everything in this society. Just think about things such as the space race. The reason we got to space was because we were racing with Russia, because of this competition. So some people may argue that participation trophies are great for kids. They believe that it fosters their mental health, and that by recognizing their participation in these sports or in these other activities, that they promote a sense of belonging and acceptance because everyone gets a trophy. Really, it's causing more harm than good. What they're giving these kids participation trophies, they fail to learn that success requires hard work, resilience, and perseverance. Without these, what will they work towards? What will they have to do? They know that no matter what, you're still getting rewarded. So I want to leave you with a few questions. Do you want to live in a world run by mediocre leaders? Do you want to sit in the classroom and be taught by mediocre teachers? Do you want to go to court and be defended by a mediocre judge? Do you want to go to the doctor and be treated by a mediocre doctor? It's up to us to break this cycle that we have created. We have created this sort of culture in which mediocrity is more common and excellence is undervalued. We need to deconstruct this mindset of mediocrity. Without doing this, we will all be the same and we will all be mediocre. Thank you.